Alrighty, thank y'all for tapping in. This is your boy King Legend 757, and we are joined today by the one and only Oliver Mack, aka the Right Wing Angel. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
It's really a blessing to have you here, brother. Because one thing I can say, I do appreciate your level of journalism. The way that you do it, you keep it authentic. You don't just go with the narrative. You keep it the way that we love to really see news. And so that was one of the first things I really noticed about you. So when I saw that, I said, I gotta really tap in with this guy and really see what he's really about. So I got you up here. I know you're from New Orleans. Just give us a quick background, a little bit about your upbringing to get us up to speed for those people who may not know who you are.
Yeah, like you said, I'm from New Orleans. I live in Houston now, but I had to leave the foolishness that I was experiencing in New Orleans. That New Orleans kind of molded me into the person I am and gave me the perspective that I have today because I saw a lot where I was from. I witnessed a murder. I can't count how many people that I know personally that were shot and killed in the city of New Orleans. So I wanted to see better for myself and I wanted to see better for the Black community. So I started doing this probably about 3 years ago because I was tired of the media brainwashing, especially Black Americans, because I lost a lot of friends because of my position, because I supported Trump and different things that I was saying, bringing up these issues in the Black community. So it was kind of like, okay, well, if I'm going to lose friends, I want to lose friends because something I'm saying is against the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like they believe this and this is the truth. And I'm just some wacky, crazy person that believes something that's just nonsense. But they were believing the lies and I was trying to tell the truth. And because of that, they didn't want to have anything to do with me. So what I wanted to do was try to dispel these media narratives, these false narratives that were being, sold to the Black community because I know it affected so many people. I want to see us do better and be in a better position, a better situation, but that will never happen if we keep falling victim to these false narratives about racism, about white supremacy, about Black people being held down in this country. And I think that's the only thing that's really holding us back from being the people that I know we are capable of being. So that's why I set off on this journey to kind of, just go against what the media was pushing, with the Black Lives Matter movement. That kind of started me as well because I saw that the Black Lives Matter movement was telling a lot of lies. And it started from the Mike Brown situation.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said that, oh, he hands up, don't shoot, right? Everybody remembers that narrative that was being pushed. But come to find out that was a complete and total lie. But that started this whole thing. And from there, that's when I decided, I said, you know what? I can see that this is not real, right? I can see that the media is lying to us. Every time they had a witness that was supposedly had witnessed what happened to Mike Brown, they always had their lawyer present, right? So I'm like, okay, if you're just telling your side of the story, if you're just telling the American people what you've seen, why do you need your lawyer present? So
Right.
that's what kind of tipped me off to say, yeah, I think these people are lying. And I think the media is in cahoots with the Democrat Party to push a certain narrative to get certain people to fall in line with their, propaganda and the things that they were trying to spread. So I said, I'm going to be the voice of reason and I'm going to go against this. So I started my platform and it kind of just went from there.
Now, I definitely can appreciate you for being the voice of reason when it comes to the situation because honestly, what I've learned, especially in recent years, a lot of people will feel a certain type of way, but they don't want to voice it because of controversy. They
Yeah,
know 100% the moment they do that, they're going to have to be the ones standing on that island by themselves looking crazy. So it
yeah,
does take a special type of person to be built for that because you know it's coming,
yeah,
and to walk this life um knowing information that is available to everyone. What I find is that a lot of people refuse to accept the truth because they're emotionally attached to the situation.
yeah.
So, what can we do? And I'm talking specifically for us black people. What
Hmm.
can we do to overcome this trauma that technically doesn't exist in our lifetime? Because honestly, I've heard the debates, I've heard a lot of the excuses when it comes to our people moving ahead, moving forward in life. And the
Yeah.
first time you ask somebody, you say, "Hey, what can we do to bring, stop the crime in the community?" Well, the first response I get is, "It's because we've been brainwashed. It's because of slavery. It's because of all these things." And the truth, when you really let it sit in, you wasn't born in slavery. You
Nope.
didn't have a whip. You didn't have a master. You get what I'm saying? But we use all of
Yep.
these things as a cop out, really, to
Right.
to 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 make an excuse for why we are the way we are today. So,
Yeah.
what kind of conversations have you had, and what kind of, I guess, conversations spark something that changes people in your experience?
Well, I think the first step is taking accountability for our own actions. I think that we do a lot of blaming and trying to pass the buck over to the white community to say, well, the reason that we're killing each other, the reason that we have the highest murder rate is because of slavery or because of white people, right? And the moment that we accept responsibility for our own actions and say, well, this is us doing this is us making these decisions, then I think that's when we'll start to see some change. And that's why I do what I do. A lot of people say, well, you always call out the negative in the black community. Well, the reason that I do that is because you cannot solve a problem unless people admit that the problem exists. So my job is to put a spotlight on these issues so people would like, because if you keep putting that spotlight on it, then eventually people can't ignore it,
Mm,
right? Eventually you're going to see so many stories that make you say, okay, well, this totally goes against what I was taught. So when you finally realize that what I've been taught was a lie, when you're seeing these stories, then you can eventually start to evolve and start to change and start to accept responsibility for your actions and for the actions of our community. And then we can come together. And I think we can come together as conservatives, as liberals, as a complete black community and start to talk to each other about how to solve these problems because that's actually what I want to happen. I don't care about the whole politics of it all. I
mm,
care about how are we going to do the work? How are we going to actually solve these problems? Because there are children that are dying every day in cities like Chicago and New Orleans, innocent bystanders because of what these adults are doing to each other. And I think that once we can actually put a foot on what is actually going on or put a finger on what is actually going on, then we will start to see change. But until we do that, it's going to be the same old, same old.
gotcha. So I'm gonna ask you a question because I know you get a lot of trolls. I know you get a lot of people that don't
Yeah,
want to
they're in
hear you out and stuff like that. So just for the people that's listening in right now, I'm gonna ask you questions. It's gonna sound kind of stupid, but
yeah.
I'm just gonna ask them. Okay? Do
No,
you
that's fine.
love black people?
Yes, I love black people. The comment I get a lot is that I hate black people or I hate myself because of the things that I put out there. But actually, I love black people and I love black people so much that I'm willing to put myself out there in order to get change. I'm willing to take all the daggers, all the swords, all the backstabbing in order to see change because based on the amount of attacks that I get on a daily basis, I could have been quit doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't make any money off Instagram.
Hmm.
So there's no incentive, there's no monetary incentive for me to continue to do what I'm doing. But I do it because I feel wholeheartedly that what I'm doing has a purpose. I feel like I was chosen to do this. I feel like I was called to do this. And I feel like eventually more people will hear the message and more people will start to think about what I'm saying and more people will change. I've had so many people that have come to me and said, you know what? I used to disagree with you when I first started following you. I was disagreeing with you, but the more I started to invest into what you were doing, the more I paid attention to what you were doing. Now I actually agree with you. So that's what I'm looking for. Those are the people that I'm trying to reach. Of course, there are going to be a lot of trolls that tell me I hate myself and I can't say that word because they'll probably take down a live, but all the negative words you hear about black conservatives, I'm all those things. But I even think that those people would eventually turn things around once they open their minds, their narrow mindedness. Once that goes away, I think those people will eventually see what I'm doing and see what I'm doing as a positive and not a negative.
Got you. Now, as far as your approach towards the black community, do you feel like there's any other way to address the issue that doesn't come off so negative to the people? Because that's how they're going to receive it, because they're going to feel like they're attacked all the time by some of the things that you say. So is there another, like, have you ever thought about a different approach with it, or do you feel like you're exercising the best approach, which is being direct?
Yeah, I think I'm exercising the best approach. I mean, I've watched certain YouTubers, certain YouTubers, other personalities. They may be conservative, they may not be, but the ones that actually get the most attention, the ones that are actually reaching more people, are the ones that are direct. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
how many people do you see, especially talking about negativity in the Black community? How many people do you see that are talking like that? Actually talk softly, actually talk kind hearted and different things like that. Most of the people that are getting the attention, most of the people that are reaching the people that need to be reached are very direct, right? You have
Right.
your Candy ones, you have your, I don't know if you know Tommy Sotomayor's, you have your Brandon Tatum's, you have people like that. And those people are reaching a lot of Black people. I mean, there's a lot of people that say, oh, they don't reach anybody, they're not reaching the right people, but there actually are. They say that their audiences and my audiences are like 100% white, and that couldn't be further from the truth. There are a ton of Black people who follow me. There are a ton of other races who follow me. The majority of my audience happens to be white, but it's more like 60%, which aligns with the population of this country, which makes more sense than somebody having an audience that's like 90% Black. So I say that I reach a lot of Black people, and the reason is because we're tired of being coddled. A lot of us are tired of being told that we're just awesome, amazing people and can do no wrong when we're seeing all this stuff happening in our community. A lot of people want to hear the truth. A lot of people are starved of the truth. So if I did change up the way I did things, I wouldn't reach nearly as many people.
You know, you just made a huge point there, because people do, in spite of what people may say or believe, are drawn to controversy.
Yeah,
Usually when you try to make that smooth approach, you can reach people, but it won't be on the level that you're trying to reach people now.
right.
Um, some things it's like ripping off the band-aid. It's like you just got to get right to the point. So I definitely understand that, but I think it's important that people understand that you're doing it because you actually care about them. Because
Mhm.
what happens is people will put you on this other side where you're just against us, so we're not even going to hear you out of what you got to say. But then again, that's just how it is when you're talking about the truth. Whenever you talk about the truth, it goes against everything someone was brought up to believe. And then now it's an issue because to accept what you're telling them would be to reject everything they know.
Exactly. And that's how it happens most of the time. You know, for me, I say that my approach is like a splash of cold water in somebody's face, trying to wake them up. You know, you can have somebody that tries to wake someone up by nudging them, like, "Hey, wake up, wake up." But if that person doesn't want to get up, they're not going to get up. You splash that bucket of cold water in their face, they're going to be up, and they're probably not going to go back to sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the analogy of the approach that I take with everything, because I feel like being nice to people is not going to get us where we need to be. And then think about this, when you talk about Black people, right? The most popular music that Black people listen to, is it nice? You know,
Nah,
is it
we ain't
something
even
where
gonna sit here and play like it is. We know it's hip hop, it's
are they
trap
singing sweet
music.
nothings in their ear? No, the music is very abrasive. The music is very harsh, and we gravitate to that type of music. So why is it that my abrasive or harsh tone when I'm talking about these issues is rejected? You know, it shouldn't be rejected, and I think it's not rejected. But there's a lot of trolls that will say that, well, nobody wants to listen to that. When in actuality, there's a lot of people that do.
I agree. Now I've heard both sides of this argument when it comes to this music. I've heard the side where people will say we make that kind of music because it's our experience, it's what we've been through. When I make trap music, it's because this is some of the experiences that I've had. but then you know, a lot of it is really not like that, and it's because they're just trying to go viral and get streams.
Yeah. Else.
So when you get this kind of music putting out that negativity into the world, what they don't understand is they're inspiring the youth to do the same thing. And then the
Yeah.
children of today become the leaders of tomorrow. My
Right.
biggest concern right now is while everyone is sleeping, the youth is getting bombarded with a whole bunch of wickedness and craziness on every level. It's not even just blacks anymore. It's every
Right.
level they're being indoctrinated with a demonic belief system. And
Yeah.
so I think about 10 years from now, 20 years from now, while everyone's looking at all these changes that's being made towards the kids and taking the rights away from the parents and things like that, 20 years from now, those same kids are going to be walking into leadership roles.
Yeah.
And what will America look like then if we don't correct this course that we're on or walking towards right now?
Right.
So, talking about the youth in general, what is some of the things that alarm you right now? And what do you think should be priority on our list?
Well, there's two things that alarm me. Of course, you have the LGBTQ indoctrination of our youth, and then you have the music, like you just talked about. That's another thing that alarms me. I don't know how I would rank the two. I think they're equally problematic. I think the whole LGBTQ push is a little bit newer than the I would say I'm trying to find a word for it, but it's kind of like the the gangsterization of our youth.
Yeah.
The way they're listening to the music and then they're basically following whatever the rappers tell them to do. I mean, you know, I'm 41, so I grew up in the era where rap music became more popular and the gangster rap became more popular. So I saw the change and I saw the attitudes in people. I saw how the youth or I saw how like the thugs would kind of have a little bit of a code or more decorum. When I was growing up, my brother was a drug dealer. He did two bids in prison, but I saw how he moved, and it was totally different than how these kids today move. These kids today, they'll shoot your grandmother. They'll shoot women. They'll shoot children. They don't care. Like they have this I don't give a f attitude now that I don't believe they had back in the early 90s. I believe there was a little more respect paid to women, a little more respect paid to children. The things that they would do, they would actually try to hide it. They wouldn't shoot somebody in broad daylight.
Hmm.
They would, it was nighttime, but now you see this stuff happening in broad daylight among groups of people. You see mass shootings where black people would just start shooting at each other within a crowd of people. I mean, that is like so horrendous when you think about it, that they have lost respect for life in general. That this idea that life is not precious anymore. Anybody's life can be taken for any reason whatsoever. I've seen people in New Orleans around me that said that if somebody stepped on their shoe, that they want to kill them. I've seen people tell me that they were just going to go out and just look for somebody to kill just because they felt like killing somebody.
Right.
Things like that I've experienced. So I think it's a huge issue in the community when you see different things like this happening. But also when you turn the other page and talk about the LGBTQ push, where it's going to lead to more of the things that I was just talking about, because the whole LGBTQ push is meant to destroy the families, right?
Hmm.
So we have a lot of these issues happening in our community because the family has been destroyed, because you have a lot of single mothers that are raising children on their own. There are no fathers in the picture, but with the LGBTQ push, they're going to have still children being raised without fathers or without mothers. It's going to be all these different types of family structures that won't lead to anything prosperous. You're going to have polygamy that's probably going to be on the rise now. Men with multiple women, that they're having multiple children with different women. They're all supposed to coexist when we know that's not something that'll ever be possible. There's going to be so much drama, but it's all based on destroying the family, because I believe that the Democrat Party and the elites. You know, I try to not make it Democrat versus Republican because I believe there's a much higher power in terms of the upper echelon of the
Right.
world that is
Hmm.
in control of everything. They're in control of both parties. So those people, they want to destroy our families. They want there to be dysfunction because that means that people are going to be easier to control. And that's their number one goal, is to control all of us. You saw it with the vaccine and the COVID, and you saw that, it was kind of it was a test run on
Hmm.
how easy it would be to control all of us. So all this stuff that's happening right now all goes back to how can they control us? How can they control us, and how can they make us easier to control? So when you talk about all this stuff, I think it fits all under one umbrella, and I think we should be paying close attention to what's happening and pretty much fight against all this stuff equally.
I agree 100%. Now, I do know I have a different perspective when it comes to um, the cause of all of this. Okay. Um, Basically, if you look at the new thing that's going on with the LGBTQ, it's a lot of Satanism going on. Okay. There's a lot of demonic things going on. And me personally, we're right on schedule if you read the Bible with the way everything is flowing, the direction it's going. A lot of
Yeah,
people may not understand that because they're looking at it from a natural perspective. But a lot of these things that are happening today is literally described in the Bible. And so I have a position on the topic where it's like a sinking ship. And at this point, the only thing we can do is try and save as many people on that sinking ship as possible.
yeah,
Unfortunately, there will be casualties once it's all said and done, but all we can do is what we feel called to do in this moment, in this season. You know what I'm saying? So whether
yeah,
that means shout on the top of the mountaintop or you just yell down the street, you got to reach who you can reach. And I feel like that's what you're doing with your platform.
yeah,
There's a lot of lies that's being spread out there in the media. The media can't be trusted, but it's crazy because when did we ever feel we could trust the media? When did that shift happen where we felt like they were so trustworthy? Like, honestly, the only thing I've ever trusted on the news was the weather.
yeah,
That's just about it because the headlines were always meant to manipulate your emotions because that will get people to tune in.
right,
If the news reported everything that was just true and they didn't put a twist on it, less people would watch the news. More people
right,
would watch Facebook. And here's what I think. Here's what I think happened. When social media took flight, the news all of a sudden had competition because people were finding out things that were happening on social media before it even came out on the television set.
that's
So
right,
they had to get creative on the way that they created headlines so that way they can make you feel like it's exclusive only on whatever network you're watching. And
right,
people completely forget that. And so what happened with Trump, in my opinion, you have to be blind to not see, even if you don't like Trump, even if you hate Trump's guts, you have to be blind to not see there was foul play going on even with the type of questions, every time they brought up his name, it was in a negative light. Every time they brought up Biden, it was in a positive light. Every time they brought up anybody opposite, it was always polar opposites on a perspectives and viewpoints. And whenever you
right,
can see that happening, it's manipulated at that point. And so, in my opinion, where Trump went wrong, well, he blew the whistle on fake news because
mm-hmm,
what happened when he did that, he lost all support he was going to ever get from the media. And he really took on a fight that was going to be hard for him to win, in that opinion. Because the moment he did that, every network was against him. And
right,
so they control the narrative, hence the public opinion and perspective. And so whenever you hear somebody talk about Trump, they say, "Oh, he's a racist." Well, tell me how is he racist? Uh, uh,
they can't do it.
because he did this, that. Well, he's that's what they say. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, but that's not telling me anything. Because if you
right,
run the reels back, if you run the tapes all the way back, black people loved Trump back in the day.
uh,
They was making songs about him. They was putting him in their music videos. He was in movies. People really loved him back in the day. So the only
Hmm.
thing that changed from back then to now was the perspective he had when it came to the news. And it changed the public opinion. What are your thoughts on that based on what I just said?
Yeah, I think he opened a lot of people's eyes when it comes to the media, and I think he took some power away from the media as well. I think you had more independent journalists starting to emerge after Trump called out the media for what they were, and I think that we needed that. We actually needed that to happen. I believe that too many people trusted in the media, and we proved that the media cannot be trusted because the media is a business entity that is in it to make money, and they're also from what it looks like, a political entity as well that has their certain allegiances that they won't go away from. For instance, CNN and MSNBC, they're strictly for the Democrat Party. Now, when you're looking at news outlets and media organizations, they should be completely biased, right? They should just present you the information and then allow the people to decide what their opinion is about it. But the media decided that, well, we can generate more rage clicks because when you go to an online platform, it's all about clicks, right? It's not somebody sitting there in front of a TV just watching the news just to see what comes up. It's about how can we generate more attention for specific news reports, for specific articles to get those clicks. So that's why the headlines even became more important. We want to grab you by the headline, then get you to click. We don't care if you read it. We want to give you as much information as possible within that headline, give you the information about what happened, and also tell you how you should feel about what happened in that one headline. And that's basically where I got the idea for what I do is I try to also grab people's attention by that headline. I'm not trying to give them their opinion, but I'm giving them my opinion in the headline, and it's based on a different perspective than what the mainstream media is putting out there. So I think that a lot of that was exposed through Trump and a lot of other individuals that supported Trump. And I think even people in the center started to gravitate more to that point of view that the media had been lying. I think in the beginning we had just a right-wing audience that was on the side of, hey, the media can't be trusted, but now we're pulling even more people from the center into that same realm. And I think it's a positive thing because the media apparatus cannot wield all the power that it has, especially if it's doing nefarious things to the American people by doing that.
Right. And I'm a little surprised at the people, honestly, because in what world does everybody get along? Everyone's on the same page. I mean, think
Right.
about it. When the news put out a story, every network has the same angle, same perspective, same
Yep.
delivery. They don't ever fight each other. You don't have
Nope.
a media outlet over on the left completely agreeing with everybody. It's always what I'm saying is the news when they put out the information to the people, they have the same perspective, the same angle, and the same delivery that goes out to the people. There's never opposition. Well, we don't believe that story. That should have been a red flag to everybody, when it comes to the trustworthiness of the media, because everyone has a different opinion. So how does the media always has the same opinion on every angle? That's an issue. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like the true journalists, they get shut down, they get canceled, they don't have their voices heard, and now you have to go to these third party sites to really create an opportunity for people to hear a different opinion.
Right. Yeah. I think that, for the most part, for people on the left, they basically just want to hear, like, it's all about confirmation bias. They just want to be reaffirmed with what they already believe. And I think that happens a lot. And that's what the leftist media is all about. It's all about reaffirming these ideas. It's not about presenting any new ideas, not about presenting any conflicting information. Even if they get stories wrong, they're going to double down on it. They're not going to correct it. They're going to make sure that you still believe what you believed before. So I think that's all that they're doing. So they don't want any um, opposing opinions to get in there, and that's why they shut all of us down when it when we had COVID, when we had the election stuff, like they shut all the dissenting opinions down because they couldn't have people thinking for themselves, because that's exactly what's going on. They want people to think a certain way. We're going to give you the information. We're going to give you your opinion. And any other opinions that are out there, we're going to silence them. So we all have people marching in lockstep together for the same view, the same opinion. So that way, when something else comes along, we can just kind of fit it into there and get you to believe that too.
Absolutely. Now, recently we just had a song go #1 called "Reclaim the Rainbow,"
Oh,
and
yes.
Bryson Gray and Jimmy Levy. And now, when it comes to that message in the song, it's about the rainbow being God's promise and not
Yep.
about pride.
Right.
The fact that it did go all the way up to #1 on the charts, what that says to me is, regardless of what people may think, the majority of the people really have a different perspective.
Right.
Because in order for that to happen, that means there's a lot of people who are silent on main
Exactly.
issues that are happening in this country.
Exactly.
And I don't know if you've seen the Forbes article about it, where it was pretty much presented as it being homophobic.
Yep. Saw that.
And that's also controlling the narrative. That's
Yep.
controlling the public opinion and perception of what the song is about.
Right.
Now, I believe I have to blame us as Christians. I believe that a lot of these issues took place because we were silent when those moves were happening. It wasn't enough of us voicing our opinion or perspectives, and it got out of hand. You know,
Yep.
and now that we should never even have to reclaim something that didn't belong to them in the first place. But that's
Absolutely.
where we're at today because it's really gone completely out of whack. Now, with all of the sensitivity on these subject, you know, people can lose their jobs for talking out of against it. There's just so many different levels of persecutions that can come to you for speaking out against it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important for people to understand that we don't hate the individuals. You get what I'm saying? We don't hate the human being. We hate the lifestyle that they're portraying on other people. You know,
Yeah.
there was a such thing as, you know, I hate to say it, but people were in the closet at one point, and y'all might hate me for saying this, y'all. Y'all know I don't care. I've been a whole bunch of shadow band, all kinds of stuff, but y'all know where I'm going with this. What I mean is, you can't force people to live in your delusion. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, it hurts a couple people's feelings. That's just what it is, you know. Because what's happening is there is no end to it.
No.
Now you have people getting attacked because I don't believe you're a cat.
Right.
You that's crazy because for me to say you are a cat and you identify as a cat, that is to say that your parents are capable of birthing animals. That's
Yep.
you're trying to make us all play into this delusion, and it's one sided. You know what I'm saying? It's like either I agree with you or I shut up.
Right.
And I don't know if you just seen it, but there was I want to say it was Bryson Gray. He had a shirt that said "Promise, not pride," and a
Right.
student had wore it to the school, and they told the student that he had to take the shirt off basically, and he had to wear like inside out or something like that. And it was during like their surprise celebration, and everyone else was supposed to be wearing like pride themed clothes to school.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that it's offensive when he wears a shirt that says "Promise, not pride," but it's not offensive when someone else says something that goes against that? That's not inclusion. So let's talk about inclusion. What does that mean to you, and what can we do to really come to some kind of middle ground? Or will
Well,
there ever be a middle ground?
yeah, with the left, I don't think there is a middle ground. I think the left, they want to include by excluding. They want to include LGBTQ people, but exclude Christians and Muslims. So they really don't believe in inclusion. Their whole inclusion and diversity push is to basically create a United States of America that aligns with their political ideology. Like that's what it's all about. Diversity, inclusion, is just about that. They know the people that are willing to align with them, particularly the Democrat Party. They know the people that are willing to align with them. So they want more of them and less of Christians, less of white males, less of straight white males in particular. So, and even straight white females, they want less of them. So it's not about inclusion. I firmly believe that all this talk about diversity is not about diversity, because they don't want somebody who does not believe that in the LGBTQ push, or somebody who does not believe in celebrating pride. They don't want somebody like that to be included. But we exist, right? We're always told that, well, you should basically coddle the trans community. If you don't, then you're saying that trans people don't exist, and trans people exist. Well, basically, what you're saying by not allowing that little boy to wear that T-shirt, you're saying that Christians are not allowed to exist, right?
Right.
Christians do exist, and Christians are against this stuff. So if you want to talk about diversity and inclusion, then that means you have to include people who may disagree, which are Christians and Muslims.
Absolutely. Now, me personally, like we said earlier, if you read the Bible, all of this is kind of right on the timeline. I do believe the demonic agenda is to unify the world in the name of pride. And this is one of the vehicles that is going to be used, because it can actually cause the Bible to be banned. Because right now, everything biblical is considered hate speech. You can quote a scripture and it's hate speech. It don't even have to say anything about LGBTQ, but it's hate speech. You can mention the name of Jesus and it's hate speech. And that's the world we live in right now. And if it's happening on social media, then eventually it's going to trickle down to just being in your home, just being in the street, and people don't understand the seriousness of what's actually going on. If they're able to call it hate speech, what's going to be the thing that stops them from banning it? Because the Bible has been banned in other countries, for those people who do not know. And once the world is unified under this vehicle as pride, they're going to all hop on the same boat, and we have to be ready for that, And when it comes to being a Christian, I'm not out here trying to encourage nobody to be violent. I just want people to understand how real it is. You got to be ready to die behind what you believe, okay? Because that's what it's going to come to, getting your heads chopped off. Yes, you got to be ready for that. If you really believe in Jesus Christ, you got to be ready for what comes with it. It's a lot of people that's faking. There's a lot of people that's pretending to be. That time is running out. You're going to hit a crossroad. And when you hit that crossroad, are you going to make the right decision, or are you going to fold under pressure?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of pressure right now. There's a lot of pressure to actually conform to what's going on, and to be down with this LGBTQ community. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I mean, I'm a firm believer in what God says, and if God says it's abomination, then it's an abomination. If God says that if you support this, then you should be put to death, then I'm not trying to be put to death, so I'm not supporting this. And I just don't understand. There's so many Christians and even Christian conservatives out there that are also supporting this LGBTQ push, and that's just not me. I'm sorry, I just can't get behind it, and it is what it is. I'll stand firm on what I believe. I've always done that, so it doesn't matter what it is. It could be my own people that I got to go against, or whoever it is, but I'm with God first.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you two more questions. I'm going to let you go, man. I do appreciate your time, and I want to respect it.
No
Um,
problem.
what are some of the lies that the Black communities have believed since birth? And it's some of the main core, like it's the core issue with why we aren't making the wisest decisions with our futures. So just give us a few lies. You don't have to go into strict detail. Just give us a couple that you notice that we hold on to as a Black people, that it's been lies.
Well, I think the first lie is the lie that racism is running rampant in this country, and that it's holding all Black people back, that you are not able to achieve anything that you want to achieve because of racism, because of white supremacy. I think that is a blatant lie that is used to control Black people. It is used to keep Black people down in a state of victimhood. And I believe that it has done such a disservice, and we have to snap people out of this because it has brainwashed so many of us. There are so many people that tell this stuff to their children. I've seen videos where the child is crying, thinking that thinking that white people are out to get them. And parents are so easily manipulated, and then they spread these lies. I've heard it when I was a kid too, so I had to snap out of it myself. Just acting, not being comfortable around white people because you feel like white people don't like you, right? That's something that I grew up believing. White people don't like me. White people don't want to be around me. If I ever went to a neighborhood or went to a function or any type of establishment where I was like one of the only Black people, it would make me nervous because what I've been told is that white people, just because I'm in there, they're going to try to lynch me or kill me because I'm Black. A lot of times that happens as well. But what we see is there's a lot of white people that actually care a lot about Black people, that actually want to see us prosperous as well as we do. So if we can all work together, I think it would lead to so much more for our country as a whole. But yeah, those are two in particular about white supremacy running rampant, and then white people hating Black people.
Absolutely. Now, would you be willing to take any questions from the chat? I always leave that up to you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So y'all know how this works. Just drop a question in the chat box and we'll be able to post it up here for you. As far as your goals, what are your goals right now, brother?
My goal is to expand my YouTube channel, to kind of transition more into developing YouTube content where I can speak more. I would love to do public speaking as well, to go into the Black community, the heart of the Black community, and speak to them about a lot of things that I speak on my Instagram account and on my YouTube about. And I want to also start a program where I mentor young Black youth and just try to teach them there's a better way, especially the young Black males who may not have a father figure in their home. I want to be able to provide that.
Absolutely. And it looks like we did get one question from the chat. It says, does he get paid by any right wing white organization in any way?
No, I do not get paid by any right-wing organizations, any white organizations. I don't get paid at all. Like I said in the beginning, I do this Instagram thing for free. I am not monetized on Instagram. I don't make any money, maybe a few bucks off of subscriptions, but that's about it. And when I say a few bucks, I mean a few bucks.
All righty. Well, listen, y'all heard it, man. I appreciate you so much for your time today. Thank you for coming through to the podcast, brother.
No
Definitely going to see you doing more things in the future, man. So I do appreciate your time here. Like I said, I want to be respectful of it.
All right, I appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching.
And oh yeah, before you go, let them know where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, so you can follow me here on Instagram at the Right Winged Angel. I'm also on YouTube. Just search Right Winged Angel. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Some other platforms as well. I think I'm on Truth. Yeah, I'm on Truth Social too. I have a website, rightwingedangel.com. I also have a merch site, rightwingedangel.store.com. So check out some cool merch I have. I'm actually wearing one of my merch shirts right here. It says "Protect Real Women."
Absolutely. Well, look, thank you again, man. God bless you, and I do hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you for stopping.